Hello there, my name's Claire and you're watching Stitch Em Sew. Thank you so much for joining me today for another video. Now today's video is me talking all about my trip to the knitting and stitching show at Alexandra Palace at the weekend. I went on Saturday the 7th of October and it was just a brilliant day. So I thought I would talk to you about my day and what I've been buying and what I bought and all that sort of jazz. So yeah, hope you enjoy it, and I will pop in some pictures as I go along. I didn't take any video, but I did take a few pictures as I go along, so I will talk you through my day. So my day started fairly early in the morning. I left the house at about 10 to 7. The previous year I went up to the knitting and stitching show. I went on a Friday and the journey took me probably about 2.5 to 3 hours, I would suggest, to get there. But I went on a Saturday this year. I didn't hit any traffic, and so it was an hour and 40 door to door. I live in Hampshire. I did consider going on the train, but there was all sorts of train issues that particular day, and I knew that I could drive there because I'd done it before. And so I decided that actually it would be easier for me to drive. So that's what I did. So I got there about 8:30, so a little bit early, but all was well because the lovely Adele from Sew for Serenity and Sarah from Sew Sarah Style, who'd come together from Birmingham, were already there. So I went and met them for a cup of tea, and obviously we had a good chat and spoke about what we were wearing and what we'd been doing and life in general, completely non-sewing related, and that was lovely. Then the lovely, I think it was the lovely Catherine from Sew to Makery came to join us next, and then Katie from Where to Heifer Katie Sews, and then Cara from Sew Mad, and Michelle from the Sewing Bunny. Now we were planning to meet other people a little bit later on in the day, but as a little group we decided it was time to go into the show and see what there was to see. So sort of as you come into the show, there's lots of wonderful quilts and things on the entrance in, and there's more as you go into the show itself, which are just mind-blowingly incredible. Like, I can't believe people make them. They're just amazing. So yeah, they were beautiful to look at, and yeah, all credit to those people that are that talented that can do that. The first thing we did was head straight to Roy's Material World, which was right at the back of the hall, because Sarah had seen some fabric when she'd been to Roy's in Leicester a couple of weeks before, and she was desperate to buy it and she didn't want it to run out, so that's where we headed first. So from there we kind of worked our way backwards. So yeah, it was lovely. Adele and Katie were kind of our leaders, if you like, for the day. They made sure we went up and down the aisles and didn't miss any, etc. It was so fun. We went to all the different stalls, saw lots of other people as well. We met up with the lovely Stacey from Notions of Dressmaker, Tess from the Crafty Welsh one. We bumped into Amelia from Sew Amelia, and Amelia from Amelia Sews, I think her handle is, and the lovely Angela from Devon Threadtails, and the wonderful Helen from Stitch Rip Repeat. We spent some time with them as well, which was just lovely. We kept bumping into them throughout the day. We spent some more time together. Oh, it was just lovely. So we spent lots of time obviously looking around the stalls, talking to the people on the stalls, buying things, touching fabric, all those wonderful things that go along with being able to kind of shop in person rather than doing it online. I don't know about you guys, but I don't have a lot of fabric stores particularly close by to me, so I do most of my shopping online. It's not the same, is it? It's not the same as being able to feel the fabrics and yeah, really kind of, some fabrics just don't, you know, when you take a photo of them, it just doesn't do it justice. So seeing everything in person, and obviously being surrounded by all these wonderful people, you know, you just turn to the person next to you, you didn't know them, but you could have a conversation and talk about the fabric they were looking at, and oh, just such a wonderful day. If you've never been to one of the shows before, I would highly recommend it, because it's just such a lovely experience. Sewing people are the best. So yeah, we had a good old look around quite well a proportion of the stalls, then decided it was time for some lunch. So we had some lunch. Unfortunately, it was absolutely heaving in there, so we had to just find a bit of floor to sit on, but that was fine. It worked out okay. And then we went to watch the lovely Boys Sew Too show, and the lovely Adam from Adam Sews was taking part in that. So of course we had to make sure that we watched him. We gave him a big cheer when he came through. The idea behind their show this year was to use like reused fabric, basically. So a bit like they do on the Sewing Bee, for what their challenge of like using reduce, reuse, recycle, that kind of premise to it. And there was, I mean, all hats off to them. There were some incredible things that they've made. You know, there was a lace 3-piece suit, just jackets made out of tablecloths, and there were some really innovative things, kilts and waistcoats, and just, yeah, amazing. These guys just rocking amazing things that they've sewn. So yeah, that was just so brilliant to watch. Really, really enjoyable. And then of course we went to do some more shopping. You know, we saw all the big names, Tilly from Tilly and the Buttons, and the Sew Over It ladies, and went to Fabric Godmother and Melody McElroy and Little Rosy Cheeks and Ethel and Joan and Lushcloth and Pigeon Wishes, and lots and lots and lots of other stalls as well, which I can't even, you know, there's too many to name. So just an amazing day of looking around the show, and obviously buying things, which is all here and I will talk to you about in 2 ticks. So once we'd had our sort of fill of shopping, when it got to about 5 o'clock, so we'd been there for a full day, we definitely got our money's worth. We had arranged, well, the lovely Katie had booked us a table at the local Pizza Express, which was about, I don't know, 10-15 minute walk from Alexandra Palace. So that was lovely, and there was 9 of us who went to the meal, which was lovely. And so let me make sure, let's see if I can remember everybody that was there. So opposite me was Angela from Devon Thread Tales. I was sat next to the lovely Helen from Stitch Rip Repeat. There was Katie from Whatever Katie Sews, Sarah from Sew Sarah Style, Michelle the Sewing Bunny, Adele Sew for Serenity, the lovely Anna from Fuzzy Baby Seals and Pattern Pouch Nest. There was Cara from So Mad. Have I forgotten anybody? I apologise if I have. There was 9 of us, basically. It was a lovely meal. I didn't stay hugely long time because I had to get back for my car parking. The car park that I had parked in ran out at 7, so I was keen to make sure I got back in time, which I did, essentially by the skin of my teeth. So I got back to the car, I don't know, 5-10 minutes before the car park was due to close. I needed to fiddle around setting up my sat nav and putting my glasses on. I'd worn contact lenses during the day, but they were starting to get a bit grainy, so changed those, and I drove to the car park exit, and there was a man literally stood by the gate waiting for me to come out. He closed the gate behind me on the way out. So yeah, I was super lucky that I'd got back to the car park in time, because otherwise I would have been spending the night in the car with my fabric purchases as my blankets, which I guess would have kept me reasonably warm, but I wouldn't have wanted to spend the night in my car. So yeah, that was fine, and the journey home was fine. A little bit more traffic heading out of London, but nothing too major. Thank goodness for sat navs is all I can say. Got home in time. The kids were up a little bit later, so I must have got home about quarter 9:15, so the kids were just about going to bed, so that was really lovely. I got to give, you know, put them to bed, read them a story, brush my little one's teeth, put them to bed, you know, lovely. And then I just collapsed in a heap, absolutely shattered, especially as the week before, and you can probably still hear it in my voice a little bit, I'd had a stinker of a cold. I'd lost my voice the week before, so there was a point during the week where I wasn't quite convinced I was going, but I did make it, as you can tell. I had a brilliant time, and yeah, that was my day. So I will talk to you about what I wore on the day and then show you my purchases. So on the day I wore a chalk and notch fringe dress, which is a dress that I've made a couple of times before. So during the week before, I still hadn't got round to making a new dress. I was like, right, I'm going to do it. I want to do it. What am I going to do? I want to make something that I've made before so that I don't have too many kind of head scratching moments, etc. So I went for the chalk and notch fringe dress. The fabric that I use is a Lady McElroy fabric. Forgive me, I don't know the names of all these ones. So maybe something in bloom or something like that. One of you will be able to tell me, no doubt. And this is the dress that I made. It's got pockets, which I love, although I don't really necessarily use them, but I just like to know they're there. It's got it has got waist ties just to kind of cinch in a little, which is really nice. We've got the 3 buttons down the front. I've gone for view B on the sleeves that hasn't got the fold over cuff, because the other 2 versions that I have done that on, I just find it a little bit annoying once it's come out the wash, and it never quite lays right, and then you have to spend loads of time ironing it, and also sometimes it'll fold down during the day, and yeah, I just decided not to go for it. Anyway, I was really pleased with the dress. It came out really well, particularly as I only had a couple of evenings to sew it up whilst not feeling particularly great. So yeah, definitely glad that I went for a dress that I'd sewn up before, and yeah, it was beautiful to sew up. I haven't actually ever sewn a Lady McElroy fabric before, and I totally get what people rave about, because it's sewed up beautifully. It feels gorgeous. Yeah, it's a viscose fabric, but it's still got a little bit of weight to it, so it didn't slip and slide all over the place. It was lovely to sew with. I just used I often will use a Microtex needle with viscose, just because sometimes you can get the pulley lines, but I'd run out, so I just used a fine needle, and that turned out fine. I think there was one tiny place, and I can't even remember where it is now. I think it might be on the inside. Oh yeah, you might be able to just see it, where I've got a little white run from the needle, and there might be a couple of other places, but I don't think there's anywhere particularly obvious. Sorry, it's a little bit crumpled because this now needs to go in the wash, as I wore it the other day, but I didn't want to put it in the wash until I've shown you guys it. So yeah, really chuffed with the make. It was really comfortable during the day. It was actually a really hot day. Got hair that day, and so yeah, I mean, October you would expect to be kind of bundled up, but no, not at all. It was sort of 23 degrees, and I was glad that I didn't have anything major on, because it was boiling in that room. By the time you got a lot of bodies in there, it was hot, hot, hot. So anyway, let's get on to what you guys are really wanting to see, and that is what I bought. So the first thing that I bought was some Microtex needles. A little bit boring, but definitely needed. I just bought 3 packs of multi-packs because I tend to go through these. I also find they're great for use on any kind of slightly different fabrics, like any kind of coated fabric, like a wax cotton or anything like that, or if you wanted to use them on silk or anything like that. Not that I've ever sewn with silk, but that's what you can use them onto. So yeah, a little bit boring, but totally essential. Another thing that I bought, which was a little bit boring, was some 505 temporary spray. I thought that was a pretty good price, $9.99, and that was from the Crafty Bear. I tend to use this if I'm making any quilted items. I've never made a quilt, but I've made kind of like bags and pouches and stuff that you use like a quilting process for, and to put the two, you know, the layers together, I will often use this. And so yeah, I picked some more of that up because it was a really good price. I then picked up some from the same shop, the Quilted Bear, some some spool holders. So they come in a box like this, and I bought 2 of them, and then they're packaged up like this, and you can fit your spools in. So that was really good. And so I've filled up one already, and I've definitely got more to go, so there'll have to be some more changing around of colours, but that's quite satisfying. I've kind of done a rainbow effect, but yeah, there's definitely more to go in, so I'll have to joggle them around, but I just kind of wanted to have a play and see what they look like. So, and they kind of stack on top of each other, which is ideal. Now I've got a few fabrics to show you. Now the first 2 I got at the Knitting and Stitching, however I had bought them from Adele's D-stash, but I said to her, seeing as how we're going to see each other in a couple of weeks, can you just bring them along? So obviously paid her the money, she brought them along. It was when it had got to the point where Adele was doing buy one get one free. I hadn't been on Instagram for a good few days, so I'd missed out on some of the amazing ones that were no doubt on there, but I spotted this fabric. Now I love anything that's got feathers on. There's something about it just I'm drawn to. Now this is, I think it's just 1 metre of viscose jersey. It's got a navy background with these feathers on, and I just thought a t-shirt would be really nice to make from that. And so yeah, that's a plan for that, just a basic tee. Not sure what pattern yet, but I'm sure I'll find one. The other fabric that I got from the lovely Adele was this fabric. It's got like tractors and bales and things on, and that was kind of my free buy one get one free fabric. It really feels like really gorgeous quality actually, just a cotton jersey, and I figured that at some point I'll get round to making a little set of pyjamas for my youngest. I think it's probably a little bit young feeling for my older son, but I think my younger son will still quite like that. He still gets quite excited when we're out and about, which actually is quite regularly because I live in a kind of semi-rural area, and we see a tractor. It's still quite exciting, so I figured that he would like that one. So that was that fabric. The next fabric again is for my younger son. Now there's a little bit of a story behind this one. So I saw this in a little Rems bin, and I've forgotten the name of the shop. Stars and Stripes or something like that. I'll try and find it if I can, and I'll link it below. Anyway, I saw this particular fabric, and my younger son really likes the Cadbury's little Freddo bars, but he calls them gecko bars. I don't know why, it's just what he decided to call them one day, and it stuck. And so I just saw this little remnant. It's only 1/2 metre, so it's going to be a little bit of a squeeze getting something out for himself. I think I'll just about manage it. A little t-shirt for him. I just thought that was super cute, and yeah, that was just one for him. Now the others are for me. So I've got three more fabrics that I bought for myself. Now this fabric here is a lycra fabric. I'm not sure of the content, to be honest with you. I picked this up from Rosenberg & Son, which I believe is Stitched Fabrics. It's a John Caldor fabric, which he told me was a really old phase 8, ex-phase 8, when they first started fabric. That wasn't something that particularly was the reason I bought it. I just liked it, but you know, it's quite fun to hear those little details, isn't it? And it's got kind of like this pixelated effect on. So I've got 3 meters of that to make myself a dress at some point. Not sure which one. Possibly the Kilo Wrap dress, possibly the Westcliff dress. Not sure yet. Any ideas for that, do let me know. There's also the Estelle dress that I keep talking about that I need to make, and Sew Over It had just brought out a new pattern, which is quite nice. It's got kind of a crossover tie detail, you know, like a, what do you call it, kind of, it goes a bit like that at the front, which is really quite nice. That's a possibility. Yeah, any ideas for this one, I would be grateful to receive it. Making an absolute mess over here. The next one is a Ponte fabric. A couple of us picked this up. I think Adele did. I think Katie from Whatever Katie Sews. I don't know whether anyone else did. It was only £6 a metre. I don't know whether you can see that detail on there, but I picked it up. I just thought that it would make a nice jumper, with a, you know, black jumper but that's got a little bit of a design on it. I thought that would be quite nice, and yeah, that's the plan for that one. And then my last piece of fabric is a Lady McElroy fabric. Now, towards the end of the day, probably around about four-ish, I'd been wanting to go to Lady McElroy all day, but every time I went, I'm trying to hold this up the right way for you, it was heaving, absolutely heaving. And I'm just going to drape that over myself. And I just couldn't get into the store to kind of really see what fabrics they had because it was just so busy. But by about four-ish, it had really calmed down. And so myself and Adele went over to the store to have a look and speak to the guy that runs it, and there was this particular fabric that has caught my eye a few times at the shows, which I really like. It's got these elephants on. I think it's called Elephants and Chameleon. You've got this sort of chameleon that looks kind of like a monkey and chameleon at the same time. It's really quite fun. Anyway, you know I love teals, and so I was instantly drawn to it. This was a remnant piece, and I think they were selling the remnant pieces for about £12 a metre. So I asked him to measure it for me, and it was about 3.7, I think he said. And I was bumming and ahhing him a little bit because I didn't really need that much. I was like, oh, I only really wanted about 2.5. And he was like, that's fine, I can cut it. That would still leave me with over a metre. He was like, I can do you that for 2.5 for 30, I think he said. Was that work out right? Yeah, £30, which would have been the price that they were saying per metre. Anyway, he went to do it, and then he went, oh, don't worry, just have it for 30. And so I was buzzing, absolutely buzzing, because I'd obviously got a really lovely fabric and quite a lot of length for a really good price. So it was really, really happy. Adele was with me. We were talking about the Lady and the Lake fabric. So you guys that probably watch her channel already will know that she made a gorgeous dress, and it is completely gone from my mind what it's called. But she made this gorgeous dress in the Lady in the Lake fabric. Anyway, she was looking at the same fabric but in the slightly different colourway, and she was arming and ahhing about whether to buy it or not. The upshot was that she did. I'll let you tell her the rest of the details, but needless to say, she got a good deal as well. So yeah, that was just lovely, kind of like the icing on the cake to a wonderful day. So I thought, I mean, it definitely was one of the icings on the cake. Then we went to speak to the lovely Oyen from Lush Cloth. Now, last year I went to the Knitting and Stitching show with Adele and Crystal from my social thread, and we bumped into the lovely Oyen from Lush Cloth, who was just there. She didn't have a stall that day, she was just there to look around, and we spent a good portion of time with her, and it was lovely. You know, we wandered around some stalls together and things. It was just really, really lovely. And so we went to see her because she had her own stall there that day, and we were chatting away, and we were looking at her fabrics, and yeah, we're just having a lovely chat and a catch up. And then she went to serve somebody else, and I pointed to these patterns on the wall to Adele, and I said, oh, that's a really lovely pattern, I've never heard of them before. We were chatting, and Adele said, I haven't either. Anyway, we were looking at the pattern, and Oyen came back and said, oh, that's my pattern, I've just started designing patterns, this is my first pattern. And the pattern is What Lola Made. Now, this is her daughter, I think she said her middle name, so she's the company is named after her daughter, which I just think is gorgeous. And the pattern is called the Robin shirt, and she really kindly gifted Adele and myself the pattern, and she said, I'd really love it if you would both try it and sew it up and see what you think and give me some feedback. So that was really lovely. I'm really pleased to do that. It's so lovely to be able to support small businesses, and particularly people that you would, you know, that are your friends as well. Like, I can't think of anything more lovely than doing that. And it, you know, it was really kind of her, and yeah, I was really touched. So thank you, Oyen. So I am going to be making that up. Haven't decided on the fabric yet, but I will. And yeah, definitely looking forward to sewing that up. Now, this hasn't been released yet. She was selling them at the Knitting and Stitching show on her store, but they're not yet out yet, but they launch at the end of October, I believe. I think it's a really lovely design, and you've got kind of these two different sleeve details, so a much fuller sort of bell sleeve, and then kind of a slightly more 3/4 length, I guess, type length, which I think has got elastic in, whereas this has got like a proper kind of cuff on it. I think I'm probably going to sew up this one on my first version, just because I love a 3/4 length sleeve. I feel more comfortable in it. Generally, that's the kind of sleeve length that I will often pick on a pattern anyway. So this is the one I think I'm going to go for. So yeah, really chuffed with that. So that is the roundup of my day, really. Everything I've bought, everything I did, I think I bumped into a few more people as well. Claire from the Sewing Bear, a lovely lady called Sally, a few other people came up to me. I'm sorry I didn't necessarily get everybody's name, but just thank you for, you know, everybody that I spent time with, everybody that came to speak to me, all the stall holders, all the people there. It was just such a brilliant day. And as I say, if you haven't had the opportunity to go to one of these events, please, yeah, have a think about it for another time, because it's just so lovely, particularly if you can go along with a bunch of your friends, because it's just so lovely to be able to buy all these things sort of in person. And even if you're not going there to spend lots of money, just the social side of things and just the buzz of it all is just wonderful experience. So I think that's it from me today. I really hope you've enjoyed today's video. Just a massive thank you to everybody that continues to watch my videos, who likes and comments and subscribes. I really do appreciate it. If you have liked this video, I'd love it if you'd given me a like, and if you haven't subscribed, please do consider doing so. But until next time, take care, happy sewing, bye bye.